Ashley Payne, and this is Hunger Payne. First off, I want to welcome you to my kitchen. This is going to be our first test kitchen here to kind of get the feel of everything. Today I will be making my dog Bailey's food. If your dog is anything like my dog, Bailey gets kind of picky sometimes and doesn't want to eat her kibble. So when I started looking at the ingredients that were on the back of the bag, I just really wasn't happy at all. Some of the stuff I couldn't even pronounce. So after talking to her vet, we decided to change up her diet, and I decided, well, you know what? Why would I feed her something that I wouldn't eat myself? So I decided to make her food myself using ingredients that we would eat ourselves. So today is going to be a quick recipe. I've got some water boiling already. We are going to do ground turkey, frozen mixed vegetables. We've got some fresh spinach, fresh parsley, and some brown rice. So first things first, the water boiling and cooking the brown rice takes the longest. So I've already got that coming up to a boil. Brown rice takes a little bit longer to cook and it gets a little bit chewy. So usually I do about 1 cup of brown rice to 2 cups of water. I've actually put a little bit more than 2 cups of water to make sure that it cooks down properly and the rice isn't too hard or too chewy for her. So while that's going, we're gonna go ahead and start prepping everything. So here all I have is a fresh bag of spinach. I've got some organic parsley and frozen peas and carrots. And I've got her fresh ground turkey from the farmer's market that she loves. So the spinach, I use about at least half a bag to 3/4 of a bag to make sure that we have enough in there, enough greens. These have rather long stems, but I use the whole entire thing. So what I do is I just do a rough chop just to kind of break the pieces up a little bit. All of the greens, they will go in towards the end to kind of wilt in, so you're not losing all the nutritional value that's already in the spinach. So we want to try to get everything as fresh as possible to have all the extra good stuff that she needs in her diet that she's not getting from her bagged kibble. So I'm just going to give this a rough chop. Add it into your bowl. With this, because it's dog food and it's all gonna end up blending together anyway, there's no rhyme or reason, there's no need to really be neat about this. Just get a rough chop just to break up some of those larger pieces. Just roll that over. Parsley, I just use the whole thing. Like I said, just a rough chop. Parsley in the dog's diet is actually really good. It actually helps to freshen their breath. So that's a nice little added bonus. Does anybody that's had any dog kisses know that sometimes their breath gets a little bit funky? And so the parsley, I try to chop up a little bit finer since it does have that earthy, grassy taste. Make sure that those stems are all chopped up. And that's the beauty of when you're cooking with things with like cilantro and parsley, things like that, it does have some nutritional value and flavor in the stems. So if you get a little bit of stem in there, it's not a big deal at all. And I'm probably going to do a little bit more spinach. Bailey actually likes vegetables. Just give this a rough chop. Okay, so green stuff is all prepped. Now I've got a pot that I'm going to preheat. I don't usually use any oil or anything like that because it is dog food. I don't want any types of extra fats that aren't needed in our diet in there. But if you have a pan that's not, doesn't stick or is not really non-stick, you can use a little bit of something. Grapeseed oil is really good. It has a high flash point, so if you happen to preheat it a little bit longer, it won't necessarily burn. Olive oil is also really good for diets, in dogs' diets. Makes their coats nice and shiny, and also if your dog tends to have itching issues with dry skin, the olive oil in your diet actually will help ease some of that discomfort for your dog. You can also, at the end of cooking, drizzle a little bit of olive oil over it to mix it in to kind of get that same effect to help your dog's diet as well. So the water should just be about boiling here. Let's turn this heat up on this a little bit. And you just dump the whole thing in. Now, what I do when I'm cooking, especially with any type of raw meat, I try to keep the same cutting board with the same type of meat. Like fish will have one cutting board, chicken and turkey will have another one, and red meat will have another one. And that's only because the cutting boards, obviously the wear and tear over time, the grooves, bacteria can set inside. Another good way, if you're not going to separate your cutting boards, is to use peroxide. Peroxide is an excellent disinfectant. It's used in a lot of hospitals. If you notice that you go to a hospital, you'll never smell any type of bleach because it's such a harsh chemical. A lot of times they'll use a peroxide-based solution that cleans so much better without that harsh smell. I always use some type of a plastic cutting board. I try not to use wood or bamboo unless I'm doing like a vegetable, a fruit, or using it for some type of cheese or something like that, so that the bacteria doesn't get in that cutting board and cross-contaminate to your other meals. So after you're done, you just scrub it down really well, put some peroxide on it and let it sit. You'll see it bubbling up like you would like a little cut on your finger or something like that. That'll tell you that it's actually cleaning really well. Or you can just soak it in some bleach water as well for a little bit to kill any extra bacteria. But while I'm cooking with raw meat, I always try to use some type of a plastic spoon or silicone or something like that, that will keep it from also doing the same thing with your wooden utensils as well. Also, I try never to use any type of metal in my cookware because they are non-stick, and metal can damage the surface and can cause it to stick later on when you're cooking your meals. So let's go ahead and start breaking up the the turkey. And what you want is, you don't want to break it up too much, because what that does is it crumbles. I've tried this recipe a few different times, and actually cooking it on the stove versus doing it in a crock pot or an Instapot actually works best for this type of a recipe, because it keeps the meat from crumbling into too small pieces. It gets lost in there with all of the rice and everything like that. And this is a good way, by cooking it on top of the stove, to be able to contain your meat sizes, so the dog can actually feel like she's getting something other than rice and vegetables. So now our water is boiling. I have pre-measured 1 cup of brown rice. And what I like to do is I like to bring the rice up to a boil again once you've added the rice in there. Just so, and you just have to give it a good stir. So it starts the cooking process and brings the temperature back up. Because anytime you're adding cold or dry ingredients into something that's boiling hot, it starts to lower the temperature of the cooking water, and you want it to stay nice and high to be able to cook the item properly. So now this is coming up to a rolling boil once again. I am going to turn it down to about medium-low, and put the cover on top of it. And this is going to go for about, brown rice takes a little bit longer, so this is going to cook for about 45 minutes. Got your timer set, and you're ready to go. And we're back. So we have the meat is already completely cooked, and I've turned this off, and I'm just going to let it sit. We have used turkey, so there's a little bit of natural fat to it, so there is some moisture, which will keep the food from drying out once you mix all the ingredients together. It's also going to help wilt that spinach as well as the parsley nicely once you put everything together. We still have about 23 minutes left on the rice, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you guys kind of get to know me. Some of you already know me very well. My name is Ashley Payne. I recently got married, and I am a flight attendant for a major U.S. airline carrier. I've always had a love and a passion for cooking, and I think it stems back to my great-grandfather who owned a restaurant. Also, everyone in my family loves to cook. So it's only natural that I inherited that love as well. For goodness sake, when everybody else wanted the latest Xbox games, clothes, shoes, everything like that, I wanted a KitchenAid stand-up mixer when I was in the 6th grade. Every year it's on that list, it just changes colors. Now, I have one, finally. So, what prompted me to do this little project is that I've always wanted to do it. Every time I'm in the kitchen by myself, I kind of have that little moment like I'm pretending to be in a cooking show. But also, being a flight attendant and traveling not only the country but also the world, you know, it gets a little bit rough. You get so sick and tired of eating takeout stuff or food from the airport. It gets bad when you know what restaurant or what fast food options are on every single concourse in every airport in America. Literally, I probably do. But, so a lot of times you are able to pack your own food. And so what this project is going to do is it's going to be able to show some quick and easy meal prepping ideas for people that are on the go, whether you are a flight attendant or if you're just working in that regular 9 to 5 in an office, meals that can stretch. My goal is to be able to prepare healthy meals that taste great, gourmet meals at Aldi budgets. I want to go over like storage containers, showing you how to properly pack a well-balanced diet, what items keep a little bit longer when you don't have access to refrigerators, dry ice, things of that nature to keep things cool. So that is going to be our little adventure. And also, right now during COVID-19, a lot of us have been grounded, so I am taking a special assignment in the Atlanta airport right now, so I do get to come home every day. So that's a plus. It saves a lot of money on food as well as a lot of extra pounds on my waistline from eating stuff that's not fast food. When I do get into the air, I will take you guys with me. So we'll travel not only the country, but the rest of the world, God willing. And I'll take you to some of my favorite spots and eat some of my favorite meals that I've learned across the globe. And what I like to do is I like to take my dining experiences out that I've had and try to bring them back at home. And, you know, plating is everything. We eat with our eyes before we eat with anything else. So if a plate doesn't necessarily look pretty, doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad, but it's also nice to always have an appealing plate. So we'll work on plating techniques and things like that, serving, presentations, tablescapes, you name it, we'll cover it. Also, if you all have any questions or things that you want to see from me, please feel free to let me know. I do have a Facebook page. I will drop all the links. You'll be able to comment. Those of you that know me, call me, text me, email me, whatever you want, and we'll try to cover everything for you. So right now, at this point, if you like what you're seeing in our test kitchen, please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you need to do to keep us coming back. So in just a few minutes, we've got still about 19 more minutes on that clock. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, the rice will be done, and we'll be ready to go ahead and assemble everything, and I'll show you how everything comes together nicely and how I package it up. Also, I've used about 2 pounds of ground turkey today, and so that should last Bailey for about a week and a half to 2 weeks. She's a little thing. You'll get to meet her after we're all done. She's about 13, 14 pounds. So we like to keep her in that weight range so she doesn't eat very much during the day. But yeah, so I'll show you how I package everything up so that way it stays nice and fresh. And so that way, once one container is done, we'll bring the other one out of the freezer, and she'll have ready meals made that don't come out of the bag. We'll be right back. Hello, welcome back to Hunger Payne. We have our rice just about finished cooking, so we're going to go ahead and start assembling everything. You guys may not have been able to see her, but Bailey knows exactly what I'm making, so she has been trying to get in this kitchen every 5 minutes since I started recording. So we've got our meat starting to chill. So we've got, in this bowl, we've got our chopped spinach as well as our organic parsley. So what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and put all of this in here. And just give this a good stir. Now, the plastic spoon that I started making the ground turkey with, I went ahead and put that in the sink to go ahead and wash it. Once the meat has partially cooked most of the way or completely cooked, I no longer use the one that I initially started the raw chicken with. Call me crazy, I'm a little OCD with how I cook and don't want to cross-contaminate and make anybody sick. So I will give this a little bit of heat to kind of start to wilt the spinach as well as the parsley. And we're just going to work all of this in here. Now, originally when I started, I had all of the ingredients out. I had the frozen peas and carrots. Went ahead and put those back in the freezer since we didn't need them right away. I just wanted to make sure everybody could see what we needed. So we grab those. My freezer's like a war zone, sorry. And just dump them in. This is from the last bag. And like I said, Bailey loves her vegetables. And I just dump a good amount in there and kind of mix everything up. You'll see as the spinach and the parsley come in contact with the warm meat and all the liquids in here, it'll start to wilt. So you just want to mix it in all nice and well. Rice is done. Turn off that rice. So now that's all mixed in. And we are going to add our rice. The rice is nice and hot also, so that will help wilt the greens. Now, this recipe is such an easy base. You can use it with anything. Like I said before, you can use any type of protein you like your dog to have, whether it's beef, chicken, veal, pork, whatever, you can use it. Just use it in a ground source, or you can have, if you have a local butcher that can shave the meat really thin, you can use that as well, or just chop it up into little bits and pieces. I just find using ground turkey or chicken is best. In our house, we don't usually cook a lot of pork or consume any pork, so she just gets what we get. So let's just call it what it is. So now we've got the rice in here. The hot rice is sitting on top of the spinach, and that's helping to wilt it. And you just mix everything in. And as you can see, it's starting to wilt just a little bit. Normally, what I would do is, while I'm putting my groceries away, I already have the water starting to boil. So it does take like the longest to do the rice, so I usually get that stuff out. And it usually comes together a lot quicker and a lot smoother. The greens wilt a little bit better because everything is cooked at the same time. So just get it. Okay, so now everything is mixed in, and I am going to turn this temperature up a little bit. You can add, to add a little bit more flavor to the rice, you can use like a chicken, a beef, stock, bouillon, anything like that to give the rice extra flavor. Sometimes the dogs do like that. Like I said, Bailey is really temperamental, and sometimes she gets a little bit picky. And so sometimes we do have to doctor the rice up with a little bit of extra flavor to get her to actually eat her food and stop begging for hours. But yeah, so we're gonna raise this temperature up, and we're just gonna let this sit for a few minutes just to kind of let that spinach wilt and the greens, the parsley wilt as well. And there you have it. So we're gonna take another short break, let this get up to temperature, make sure everything is wilted and combined, and then I will show you how to package it up and serve Bailey her dinner. Be right back. And we're back with our final product. So here we have it. We have Bailey's ground turkey, brown rice with fresh spinach and parsley, with peas and carrots. You guys can't see her, but she's still pacing around here, and we even caught her sitting at her little placemat waiting for her dog food. So I usually always, it's really hot, so I will let it cool a little bit before I package it up, as well as before I give it to her. But let me go ahead and at least get her stuff. So usually she's small, so she gets about a cup, like a good healthy half cup serving. So these are her measuring cups. So, like so, into the bowl, and we let it cool. As far as packaging, I save whenever we order out or we get pho or some type of soup. They usually come in these great reusable containers, or you can also order them offline on Amazon or anything like that, or the dollar store also has great containers. So these are Bailey's containers, and usually what I'll do is I'll let them cool off. I will fill them, and then I just take some plastic wrap and just tear off some plastic wrap and put it over top of it before we put the lid on. Especially the ones that go in the freezer, I like to pack those nice and tight so there's no air bubbles or anything like that, or any space in between the food. This is going to keep the food from getting freezer burned. So I pack it down nice and tight, put the saran wrap on top of it, and then seal the top, and it keeps it nice and fresh for when we're ready to serve. So, thank you so much for joining our very first test kitchen. Just one more thing, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let your hunger pain be your pain. Come back and join us next time. Bye. Here she goes. She likes it. She likes it.